So, what did the latest polls suggest, with regards to rejoining the European Union from the British public? Well, let's have a look more into the details through iNews, guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, guys. This is REGANELITE here with an article from iNews covering pretty much the polling from YouGov. 55% would vote to remain in the EU and 2/3 think Brexit was a mistake. The YouGov polling in the latest is a rising trend to show a majority of favour of rejoining the European Union. This is slowly creeping up, and sooner or later both parties are going to have to stop ignoring what the vast majority want, because they're seeing what's happening. They are seeing what's happening. So let's have a look at these numbers, guys. Remember, this is from YouGov. One of the more, obviously this is a poll. Opinions change, people's thoughts change, and it is only one poll. But YouGov is a reliable poll, but I do think it's worth looking into the details, guys. So the first thing is, if there was a referendum now on whether the UK should or should not join the European Union, how would you vote? So in 2021, they had 40% in favour of joining, 42% was against joining, and 80% would not vote, or don't know, or refused. So now in 2023, 51% are in favour of joining, 32% are still against, and 18% are don't know. So there's still 32% of people currently right now who are still against joining. But I do wonder whether or not they would want closer alignment rather than outright rejoining. I think that's a question as well. Here, the pie chart here on the left hand side, has Brexit been a success? 63% says it's been a failure. 12% think it's a success. You struggled to provide me with evidence on that one. 18% neither a success nor a failure. So you can see there 63% have branded Brexit a failure, but 32% there think that they're still against joining the EU. Interesting, to say the least. In hindsight, do you think Britain was right or wrong to leave the European Union? So looking at this now, wow. So this is from, from 2017, from when we voted. And we can see here that according to YouGov and this graph here, over the last 7 years or so, you can see that it was very, very tight between in favour of staying and leaving in 2017, 2018. And then pretty much from 2019, it was kind of, people felt it was wrong a little bit more. And then from 2020, when it was very much level, even Stevens, according to this poll. Again, it seems to me that pretty much from 2018 onwards, the majority of people were in favour of think it was wrong. And pretty much from the midway of 2021 onwards, you can see there that graph has gradually split. So more and more people are having that regret of voting to leave the European Union. That regret definitely seems to be there. It's interesting, to say the least, that number's there. If the 2016 referendum was being held now, how would you vote? So in January 2022, they asked this, in leave people 37%, remain 49%, and 13% didn't know. So in July, that's now, 31% still think they would vote to leave. 55% said they would remain, and 13% still don't know. So the number as another indication there. How would you think the government are doing at handling Britain's exit from the EU? This one is not a surprise. It shouldn't be. So you can see there pretty much all throughout it that it came down at 2020 when Boris Johnson got the Brexit deal done. That came there. So you see the graph here on the bottom right, where obviously the trend of where it's badly to well. You can see there 2020, because Boris Johnson got a Brexit deal done, the vast majority of people thought it's finally done, we can move on from it. But as time's gone on, things haven't changed, and it's gotten worse and worse and worse, and that graph is appearing to break up more and more because people are not seeing the benefits that they were promised back then. So up to 70% think it's doing badly, 18% still think it's well. I just want to know where are they seeing the benefits? 18%. Right, let's read into it. There's some interesting graphs, to say the least. The majority of Britons would vote to rejoin the European Union in a major shift in opinion against Brexit 7 years after the referendum vote, the new polling shows. A survey of adults by YouGov shows 51% of people would vote to re-enter the EU, the higher the pollsters have recorded since the 2016 referendum. Asked how they would vote if a second referendum was held now in 2023, the number of those opting to remain is 55%, while just 31% said they would vote leave. The figure rises substantially when the number of don't knows is removed, showing 61% in favour of rejoining the bloc, as opposed to just 39% against. The pollsters said that the rising call for the UK to reserve the Brexit division among 18 to 24-year-olds who were too young to vote in the initial referendum could lead to demand for the issue of Brexit to be revisited in the future. Yeah, the next generation of people will be pushing for that, because we keep talking about blocking out immigrants, but we're not talking about Britons wanting to go to the EU to learn, to study and all that kind of stuff. We don't talk about our people wanting to be a part of the EU. The survey is just the latest in a rising trend among the electorate, showing regret as an economic picture worsens and British holidaymakers face lengthy queues at the border each summer. Since 2021, there has been a substantial shift against the decision to leave the EU, with 40% saying that they would leave back then, as opposed to 42% saying that they would go back in. Even amongst leavers, there has been a sharp increase in people saying that they made the wrong decision, with 18% expressing regret at their decision to vote leave, as opposed to just 8% back in 2021. Back in May, polling by BMG showed 49% would rejoin the EU, as opposed to 36% saying that they would remain outside. It followed a separate poll in April by Redfield and Winton, showing 56% in favour of rejoining the trading bloc, compared to 37% against. Overall, 57% of Britons said that the country was wrong to vote for Brexit in 2016, while 63% said they were more likely to see a decision to leave the EU as a failure rather than a success. Beth Carman, political researcher at YouGov, said there had been a clear trend since 2021 of Brits turning on Brexit, as she pointed out that 70% of the public believed that the government has handled the UK's exit badly. Now it seems that this is translating into how people would vote in hyperboreal referendum to rejoin the Union, she said. The 51% of the public who said they would vote to rejoin is the highest we have recorded since the 2016 vote. And with this figure rising to 62% among the 18-24-year-olds who were unable to vote in the referendum, there may be calls to revisit the growing issue in the coming years. If there's one thing for sure, guys, is that Brexit is not going away. Yes, it is just a poll. Yes, it is just one poll. Well, YouGov is one of the most reliable polls out there. But if you ask most people on the ground, people feel that despite the war in Ukraine, despite whatever is happening in the world, the aftermath of COVID, we've passed that now. We're 3 years on from COVID, guys. We can't use that excuse anymore. Yes, there is a war in Ukraine, and there are some global efforts, but other nations are recovering. They are getting back to normal as some sort of status. And we are not. We're stuttering. We're sitting here, and Brexit has played a major factor in that. We have tied ourselves in knots because of Brexit. There have been hundreds of thousands of articles of analysts, of experts, showing details after details after details of the damage that Brexit has caused, and yet for some reason our politicians don't want to talk about it, or kind of want to keep it as a red herring, don't want to say anything about it. And the thing is that they can't keep ignoring it. You can't keep ignoring the white elephant in the room. At some point, you're going to have to come back and talk about it at the table. It's just going to be inevitable. Now, obviously, in terms of rejoining, we're not looking at that for a very long time. 10, 20 years maybe. It's not going to happen anytime soon. We have to be realistic on that part. Now, that doesn't mean to say that we can't move ourselves to closer trading relations with the EU and reduce the red tape that we've imposed on ourselves, because we can reduce that red tape. It's just a case of a Labour government, if Labour does come into power in the next election, be willing to do that. And I do believe they will try to reduce that. I don't think they will outright rejoin. They won't be able to anyway, but I do believe they will try to bring a closer alignment to the EU, in my opinion. But we'll all have to wait and see, that is for sure. But it'll be interesting to see the next YouGov poll and see how the numbers look as it continues to pass. But what did you guys think of these numbers? Are you surprised by any of them, of the current trend? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, share and subscribe as always. Thank you very much for watching, and I will catch you all very, very soon.